Kathy, we live? We're live. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. No. Hey, Luke, welcome back. It's been, how long has it been? Maybe 6 months since I've done a live stream? At least, maybe even longer than that. And we'll talk about all the stuff that's happened in the meantime. Not all of it, obviously. Some of it. We'll do a brief recap. And of course, I'll be answering questions as usual. If you feel like there's something going on with my speaking voice, there's a bit of a throat thing happening, that's because that's true. That is the case. I've got a bit of I don't know if it's a cold or what, but I'm not feeling great, but I'm still live because I said I was going to continue live streaming, and it's been a long time, and so I wanted to get on a regular schedule, and so I'm here. So hopefully on the next one I won't have a bad voice. But anyway, it's great to be back. I'm very excited to do today's live stream. If you guys have questions, let me know. But I do have some stuff planned that I want to go through. Some recap stuff that I want to do, and some other stuff as well. But yes, I will be still doing some questions as usual. And so if you have English questions or culture questions or questions about what happened in the break, let me know. Let's see. We've got quite a few people here already. Karina is here. Long time no see. And Tika. Tika, I think you should probably go to sleep. You can rewatch this later. That's fine. Let's see who else is here. Luba's here, and Danny is here. Douglas is here. Hey, great. It's great to have so many people. So, what happened? Let me grab a sip of coffee. What happened in the meantime? I think the last time, let me see when the last time I actually went live was. Let's see here. I'm just looking at the channel. I went live. The last show we did was on, 7 months ago. 7 months ago. Wow. And that was, okay, skip that. That was on November 19th. Wow, that's before Thanksgiving. That's crazy. Wow. Crazy. So, in the meantime, what happened? Let's see. Thanksgiving, I guess. But the big event was the house. So I was living in Queens, and I had lived there for about 6 years. And then my wife and I had been looking for a house because we wanted to stop renting and we wanted to buy a house. And we decided to, after looking, we looked everywhere. We looked in Long Island, we looked around the city, and we just didn't, the main problem we were having was because it was during the pandemic, we realized it's not a lot of space. 2 people working in a 2-bedroom apartment, right, in New York City. Not that many apartments in New York City are very big, even if it's a 2-bedroom apartment. So we started to really feel, okay, maybe it's time to think about our living circumstances. So we started looking around. And we looked around Long Island. We used to drive out there every single weekend. We looked in the city. We would take the subway around and look in different neighborhoods. And then one weekend, I went hiking with a couple of friends in the Hudson Valley, which is north of the city. about an hour and 20 minutes north of the city. The Hudson Valley is it's a really nice area. It's kind of the wine growing country in New York State. And I thought it was beautiful. They have great hiking trails up there at the big Hudson River, of course. And so we started looking up there, and that's when we found not a house that existed, but a just a foundation and a plan for a house. So we reached out to the broker. I think that's the first. I can't remember the first people we reached out to. I think we contacted the broker first, the agent, the real estate agent first. Then we got on a call with the person who was going to be building the house, right? The contractor who was going to be building the house. And after a good conversation, we decided, this is the house that we really like. But because it was during the pandemic, it was kind of stressful because we didn't know if we've never purchased a house before. We didn't know if it was going to be a lot of delays because of the supply chain issues, the supply chain shortage, right? And there were delays, but it wasn't that bad. And so we started the process. But because we were doing it from a foundation, we got to have a really good relationship with the builder and make a lot of changes and adjustments to the house as it was being built, requesting different things and adding things, which was great. But because there was a shortage of lumber or wood during that, the price of lumber went up by a lot. So we overpaid a bit, but we're very happy now. So it was a long process, back and forth process of finding lights and buying different things and organizing things, and things had to be on time, and it was so stressful. And in the meantime, I was focusing on putting out courses. So sometimes if I get really focused on something, we were doing the house stuff and I was really focused on putting out new courses, I kind of put the channel to the side or took a break. I just felt like I couldn't put my attention on it as well as I should have. So I took a pause, and I think it's good. It's healthy to do that sometimes, right? To take a pause. You don't want to do stuff where you feel like you don't have the energy to do it, right? So I put out, I think during that time, 2 or 3 new courses, which you're welcome to check out. And I'm very excited about how those are doing. And I'm continuing to put out more courses. But then it felt like time to return. The house was done and a couple of new courses out. It started to feel like the right time to return. And in the meantime, we reached 100,000 subscribers. So it wasn't posting for maybe 6 months, but we reached 100,000 subscribers anyway, which is great. That's very exciting. So I'm excited to be back, but I want to say that it's not going to just be a one-time show. We're going to be doing a regular schedule from now on. Okay, so my plan is for the time being, to do a show on Wednesday and Friday, and to keep it at the same time. So a Wednesday and a Friday show, and we'll see how it goes from there. I want to do it differently for each one. On Wednesday, I want to keep it more covering different topics, but not as lesson feeling, teaching some specific thing in a very academic way, like a course might feel, right? On Wednesday, to just keep it a little more relaxed and still do the Q&A, but I have some interesting topics to share, still useful for the English brain, English learning lifestyle, understanding culture, that sort of thing. We'll be watching some videos. And then on Friday, I want to make it, we'll see how it goes. I want to make it a little more academic, it'll feel a little bit more like my courses. The format will be a little bit more structured. It will feel like more like lessons. And there will still probably be some Q&A going on there too. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. Who knows? We got a lot of people joining. That's great. Ennio's here. Great. Vitali is back. Vitali, what the heck is wrong with me? Vitali moved to Sweden from Russia. Awesome. That's great. I'd love to visit Sweden. I just got back from a trip to the UK, which was cool. Now, I don't have a lot of pictures to show, but I thought I would just maybe show one or two things from something that's public at least, right? So let's see. I have a couple of things during the process. I'm just gonna open up my wife's Instagram. If you want to follow her, that's cool. Her Instagram is Mushroom Stir. And if you want to follow her on Instagram, you're welcome to. But let's see here. Okay, so she likes fighting. So this is what it looked like in the very early stages. You know, it was very just kind of sticks and wood, and you can see how rough the ground is. And that was the sort of the early stage. And then let's see if there's anything older. I don't think so. Okay. So yeah, there's some process photos here, and then let's see here. Okay, then they put the siding on, and this is where it started to get a little bit closer, right? You can see they still have, this is not finished on the front porch, and the windows still have stickers, but that's the siding. So yeah, it's a black house. It's black. And then this is the kitchen. You can see that there are no appliances yet. No oven, no microwave, no countertops yet here. This was in, when was this? December. That's what it looked like in December. Some very tasty Ethiopian food. Ooh, that was good. And then, okay, so after we moved in I think we moved in the end of January or early February. I can't remember. And this is when we finally finished the living room, and undecorated. It's not really decorated at all. Now there's some plants here. It looks a lot different now because we have obviously spent time decorating it. But this is just the basic sort of sofa, chair, TV setup. So that's pretty cool. And then anything else? Oh yeah, here's the one thing that I really like about the spot that we're in now. We're kind of far from the city. I mean, it's about an hour and 20 minutes from New York City, so it's definitely different than before, right? Before we were in the city, so you could go anywhere. So it's a little less convenient. You know, you have to drive around. You can't walk to anything. Everything is driving. So that's been a big adjustment for me. But this is the out of the back view. This is a pear orchard. These are pears, and it's a beautiful sunsets from the backyard, which is great. So feel free to follow Mushroomster on Instagram if you want to check those out, and I'll ask her to post more photos. She posts on another app. It's a Chinese app called Xiaohongshu, little red book is what it's called. But she posts a lot there. But I can ask her to post more on Instagram if you want to follow her. Why not follow me on Instagram? You don't want to follow me on Instagram. I haven't posted on Instagram in probably 3 years. I just don't share stuff on Instagram. I don't know why. I put a fair amount of stuff in the Cloud. Honestly, my main social media at this point is the Cloud English WhatsApp group. That's about it. There are now two or three different groups that I interact in, but yeah, that's about it. So yeah, if you want to join those, let me know. You can do that with on the website. But and I also Karina says, I went through the same situation about the idea of buying a house, and we finally decided to do it. And it was the best decision I ever made, especially for the children. Yeah. I imagine kids having more space with kids. That's a big deal. I have 2 cats. I don't have kids, but they certainly like the space for sure. Vissel is here. Hey, we got. You know what is amazing to me is that a lot of people who used to watch are back. I thought you guys would leave forever. Amazing. A group WhatsApp is a problem because many people want your attention. No, actually, that's not true at all. Most people ignore me in the WhatsApp groups, and they usually talk with each other about stuff. So I've set it up because I have run several groups in the past. I had one big group that had 500 people in it for a period of time, and it was exhausting because everything had to come from me, and I had to share everything. And when I would say something, people would talk and discuss things, and then if I was quiet, everyone was quiet. And eventually I just got tired, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I thought, this is not how a group is supposed to feel. It's not supposed to be a one person show running it. So I don't know when it happened. We started the first WhatsApp group a while ago, and I said, I'm just going to act like a regular participant in the group. I'm not going to go above and beyond to share anything. I'm just going to act like a regular person in the group, and we'll see what happens. And it has turned into a really interesting group. People have their own conversations. It's just a space to talk about stuff in English and to share stuff. So I much prefer that. For lazy reasons, of course, but also because I think it is better overall to have a more dynamic, natural group feeling. Danny, you know about the method comprehensible input. I'm afraid I don't. Let me search that though. Comprehensible input. Okay, let's see what this is. I'm just curious. What is comprehensible input? Comprehensible input is an instructional technique. Let me zoom in a bit here. Is an instructional technique in which teachers provide input that allows EL students to understand most but not necessarily all of the language. Okay. American language, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a picture here. I get the idea. So you'd want to have it so that if you spoke in this blue circle, that would be too easy and there wouldn't be any improvement. And then if it were comprehensible input, you could understand it pretty well, but there would be things that you wouldn't understand that you could grab onto and then learn. And then if it's too challenging, it's right over the head of the learner. I get that. That's actually how I try to speak most of the time, especially in and something like this, in also in my courses. I try to not make it so easy and low level that it's boring to intermediate level learners, which is the main group of people who watch my videos and take my courses. That's the main chunk, is intermediate. So I don't want to talk like this so that everybody knows what I'm saying, because I think it's annoying to talk like that. Personally, there are a lot of channels out there for that and courses out there for that. So go ahead and check out those. That's fine. I want to speak in a way that is understandable, but not totally, not so easy that there's nothing new in it, right? But if I spoke as I would to a native English speaker, there would be a lot of idioms and phrases and cultural references that I would make that a lot of people wouldn't understand. So that would go into the too challenging area, and that would be probably frustrating to listen to. So I try to keep it in the green. I haven't heard that specific phrase, comprehensible input, but it makes sense to me, and I think that's right. Can you explain what you're talking about? I'm coming in late. Well, I don't really know what I'm talking about. It's a good question. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I also finished. Well, I want to talk a little bit about the trip I recently took. So we'll get into that. I want to talk about a couple of the cool things that I saw in the British Museum. And I want to get into, I have a couple of topics planned as well, so we can get into those as well. But before I do that, I wanted to share the new website, which I think is pretty cool. So I built a new website, and it's I think it's the right balance of things, right? So a lot of people ask then, where should I, if I want to take your courses, because most people know that I do YouTube and Facebook and stuff, the videos, but I also do courses. And the courses, some of them are very long, some of them are 14, 15 hours long. It's more intense stuff. Where should I take them? There are different options to take them, right? But I don't want anything to conflict with anything else, because some people want to take the courses, for example, on Udemy, and some people want to take them on the website. A lot of them are the same courses, right? So why would you do one rather than another? So I built a new website, which I think is a pretty good balance. And you can see here, this is the new website. So the courses are here, but actually most people are not going to buy them individually here, honestly, because usually there are discounts on the courses, on, for example, Udemy individually. Most of the time, most people are going to buy them individually there. You can buy them here if you want, but what I recommend is, if you want a little bit more, then you could take them here with a membership. And a membership then does make a lot more sense. It's actually a really good deal, particularly the yearly membership. So if you sign up yearly, you get all of the courses, and then also you can be added to one of the groups, depending on, well, you would reach out to me, and then you also, I'm doing an evaluation for anyone who's signing up for the yearly membership, not the monthly, but the yearly membership. You can get a 20-minute evaluation with me. I'll tell you basically where you are, where I think you are, what courses you need to start with, right, where you should start. which courses to take next, for example. So that would be what I would recommend as probably the best deal. You can click on the link in the chat if you want to check that out. If you want to check out the individual courses, you can do that. You can do that here, right? You can click on any of these and learn more about them. That's totally fine. All the stuff that's included. But again, if you want to access all of them, a yearly membership, you could take all of the courses within a year. So you're going to improve a lot within the year, and I think it's a pretty compelling price. So feel free to check that out. That's in the first link, I think, in the description. May I ask, says Miracles, where you are from? Your English is not so hard for me as it's clear and not so fast. I wonder if there are different accents in the US. Of course there are different accents in the US, Miracles. There's a southern twang, there's a northwestern, I don't know what it's called in the Northwest. There's the sort of Wisconsin, Midwest, Canadian sort of pronunciation, and then California has its own thing. There are a lot of different dialects in the United States, and I've covered them in some of my other videos on the channel. I don't know what mine is called. I try my best to just speak pretty clearly, but not super slow. It's not a goal of mine to speak slowly, so I don't know what it's called. Daler says, now there are a lot of people who teaches you your method and sometimes that, but they show you can say, well, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure what that means. I have to rewrite that one. Sergey, as for me, you can speak fast or slow, but if I know the words, I understand. If I don't know the words, I cannot understand. Speaking speed doesn't matter. I tend to agree with Sergey on that one. I don't think that speaking speed matters nearly as much as the references and the idioms and phrases and stuff. I think that's much more important. Okay. So let's talk a little bit more about the my trip to the UK, which was a pretty interesting one. So I'd been there very briefly before, but this was my first time really spending time there, and we spent, I think, 4 or 5 days in London. 4.5, I don't know, and then the rest in Oxford. And London and Oxford are both very interesting and quite different. Oxford has a very old feeling, a lot of churches that are 1,000 years old. We stayed at one hotel that used to be a barn that was built in the year 1000, so over 1,000 years old, which was pretty cool. And the walls are this thick and made of stone. It just feels, it's got this sort of the thing that you think about when you think about old British churches, old English churches, right? That's Oxford. And London has that too, but a little bit less so. There's still a lot of history around, a lot of old cathedrals and statues and things like that, but a little bit less than, it feels a little bit less like that than Oxford. It's got more of a modern, at least where we were, more of a modern vibe. But the public transportation is amazing. The food is great. Well, the food there is great. Not saying necessarily that British food is great. The actual British cuisine is not that great. But in London, there are a lot of different types of good food. So I would say good sushi in London. Good Indian food in London. Good Turkish brunch in London. As for actual British cuisine, I can't say much about it. I don't know if I even had it. There's a thing called black pudding, which I believe is made with blood, and it just doesn't really appeal to me. And there's a lot of bread in that cuisine, so much bread. So I'm not, and I don't like bread that much. But one place that we went in London, which was quite cool, was the British Museum. So the British Museum is probably one of the most famous museums in the world, at least top 5, maybe. It's very famous. And it has a lot of artifacts from different cultures around the world. Of course, there's this conversation about whether or not those artifacts belong in the British Museum. That's a question, a legitimate question you could ask. And there are disagreements about that as well, about because the British Empire collected a lot of those artifacts when they were conquering the world and had a lot of colonies in different places around the world, and just said, oh, I like that, I will take that and put it in the museum. And now some of those places want those things back, right? So putting that aside, there are a lot of interesting things in the British Museum. The two that I found the most interesting, probably, and of course it's personal, right? It's totally personal, were the Rosetta Stone, maybe because I'm an English teacher, and something else which I think is pretty cool. So I want to show you the if you don't know what the Rosetta Stone is, let me. Oh, and also one other thing was the cuneiform writing. Maybe we can look at that first. So I'm going to Google that. So cuneiform is one of the very earliest systems of writing, if not the first major system of writing. And it's from Sumer, ancient Sumer. And it looks, I think, really interesting. They have a whole section in the British Museum on ancient Sumerian culture. They have death masks. There's one very interesting artifact of a woman who had been buried in a mass grave for religious reasons, probably killed and buried with, I think, 70 or 68 other women. They were killed and buried at the same time. And then they dug up this whole mass grave, and a lot of the things that they were wearing, the gold jewelry and things like that, were still or in pretty good condition, actually. And this is thousands of years. This is 6 to 10,000 years ago, right? So it's really, really cool to see. And one of these artifacts was her head. The woman's head was crushed, but she was still wearing the head dress that she had been buried in. And there was a lot of this writing that you can see around it. I think it looks pretty cool, but it gets so small that it's almost unbelievable that anyone could read it. The way that it's written. This one, for example, this looks pretty big, so I think that one's okay. But some of it is so tiny that it's crazy. It's hard to believe that anyone could ever read it. So that section of the British Museum is pretty fascinating because I like languages, and because I'm an English teacher, so I'm interested in that. This one, I guess, is in the British Museum here, so you can see how close all the letters are. Of course, if you understand the language, it's probably easy, but it looks very interesting. And then the other one was John Dee's show stones. So Elizabeth the First in the 16th century, the Queen of England, was very mystically minded, and she believed in astrology. She wanted to understand what was going to happen in her kingdom, and she wanted to have an edge, an advantage. So she brought an astrologer into her court named John Dee. He was a very famous astrologer, and he was a lecturer. He was interested in alchemy, alchemy being the process of turning lead into gold, but not just that. That's what people know about alchemy, but there's a lot more about alchemy. The spiritual and the uh, psychological side of alchemy is very interesting. So anyway, he was very mystical. John Dee was a very mystical person. He explored magic and astrology and alchemy, and he worked with another guy named Edward Kelly, and they together would sometimes have seances, and they would communicate with uh, angels. They were speaking to angels and getting messages from angels and writing down the messages from the angels in a language called Enochian. I'm not sure if they coined the term Enochian or not, but anyway, so these two guys were very interesting characters at a time in Europe where alchemy was popular and mysticism was popular, but not among all groups of people, because also the Catholic Church would try to stamp alchemy out because they thought it was evil. They thought it was a bad practice, right? So in the British Museum, they have some of the artifacts that this guy, John Dee, would use when he was contacting the angels who would communicate this magical language as part of his, mystical practice of finding out what's going to happen in the future, or understanding the secrets of the universe, or learning how to turn lead into gold, or whatever he was trying to do, right? So they have here, this is made of wax, and this is what it looks like in the museum itself. So this is the main thing that I wanted to see in the UK. This is the thing I was most excited about. Here is, it's sort of a crystal ball. This is a stone. The glass one is a stone. I don't know how well you can see it. Let me actually click on that. Okay. So the ball there is, it's a crystal ball. Same function as anyone now would use a crystal ball for, I guess. Except I think he was getting the messages from angels, right? And he said that he was given this by an angel one night. He was outside and he was given this crystal ball by an angel, and he used it then in this process of communicating with the other world and getting insights and writing down what they told him and Edward Kelly. And this was, I believe, another one. The black one here is another one that I think had a similar purpose. I think this was called a spirit mirror, and the showstone is a category. So I think both of these are called showstones. And then these are part of magical rituals. You can see that there are symbols on them. This is made of wax. There are these symbols on them that he would use to do incantations and magic. Pretty interesting stuff. Whether he actually turned lead into gold, I'm not sure, but I don't know if John Dee actually cared about doing that. I think he was more interested in the other side of alchemy. And then there was the Rosetta Stone. So the Rosetta Stone is very famous. This comes from Egypt, and this is not my picture, but it looks like this in the museum. This is what it looks like. That's how it looks. I wonder if anybody knows what's interesting about the Rosetta Stone. This is the company named after the Rosetta Stone. It's a language learning company. I don't know if you can learn English from Rosetta Stone. Maybe. I have no idea. They're a pretty famous language learning company. So if you can see here, on the stone, there are 3 languages. This one is Greek on the bottom, and then on the top, this is Egyptian hieroglyphs. And the middle, I think it's Coptic, I think. And the problem was this language had died. I know it's hard to believe that a language could just die and fade out and nobody knows it, but the hieroglyphs were not used for so long that it died, it faded away, and nobody knew how to read ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs are just pictures like these, right? These are hieroglyphs that are letters. Another language that is based on hieroglyphs would be Chinese. Chinese characters are based on, many of them are based on pictures. And so originally the written language would have been more picture-like, and then it slowly changed and evolved until it became modern written Chinese. But you can still see, for example, the word for the character for person, and the character for fire, the character for mountain. You can see how actually it would have come from a drawing of that thing, right? So what they did was, there was an expert philologist, perhaps, or linguist who knew Greek, and they found this stone and analyzed this carefully, comparing the characters in Greek, the letters in Greek, to those same places in the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, and was able to very, very slowly figure out what each hieroglyph meant. A long time ago, they used to think with all of these characters that each one actually meant, for example, snake, bird, hand, right? They thought, oh, why do they keep talking about snakes? There's so many snakes here. How could they talk about snakes so much? But actually, they represented sounds, and the sounds represented the meaning. So if you saw, for example, we have the letters GH, which can be f, but can also be g, and can also be O, can be unvoiced. There are a lot of different sounds it can make. Same thing with Chinese, same thing with the hieroglyphs. They represented phonetic sounds. So it's not that the snake means snake, it means, as this says, F. So if you want to make an F, that's how you do it. You draw a snake that looks like that, apparently, right? So he figured that out and then rebuilt, reverse engineered the language slowly, methodically from that, using the Rosetta Stone. So now you'll hear people say, oh, like the Rosetta Stone, when they're using clues and pieces of something in order to create or understand something else, right? So it's like a key to unlock knowledge somewhere. That's how we often use Rosetta Stone. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So that's on display at the British Museum. I think that's a good picture of it. That's a nice close-up picture. You can see all 3. Pretty cool. So now people can actually read ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, which is good. It is good. So those are a couple things that I saw in the UK on my trip, but I'm glad to be back. It's tiring to travel. I'm getting old, maybe. I enjoy it less than I used to, I think. Because because I'm getting older, I don't know. But I'm glad to be back. I can relax at home. I can work. I'm working on a new course. The new course I'm working on is, I think, a very, not risky, but I don't know if people are going to enjoy it or not. I have no idea. So the course I've just released is about grammar, and it covers all of the English sentence patterns that you need in English. All of the different ways that you can make sentences, basically. Learning grammar through that way, learning through the patterns. And then before that was emails. So people who need to write really good emails professionally and personally. So, the type of things that for sure that people need to learn. I've always believed that to really understand a language, you also have to have a conversation, right? You have to know cultural references. You have to understand the culture too. The more I understand about England, the UK, the better I understand the language that I hear when I'm there, right? So I believe that it's important for people to get an understanding of culture too. But do people want to learn culture in a culture course? And how do you teach a culture course? One person's window into the culture? That's tough, because cultures aren't that simple. They're complicated things, and they're not the same for everybody. My window into, for example, my own culture, let's say American culture, is going to be different from someone else's into the same culture because of my childhood, because of a lot of things. So it's really tough, but I'm going to attempt it. So my next course is going to be a culture course. I'm going to be teaching different aspects of American culture as I can, as from my experience, but to give people a window into how things are, into how things are changing. And it's tough. It's very tough to do, but I'm attempting it. We'll see how it goes. How heavy is the Rosetta Stone? That's a great question. Let me search that. How heavy is the Rosetta Stone? Whoa. 720 kilograms, or 1,680 pounds. 1,680 pounds. That's pretty heavy. But, yeah, that sounds about right. The grammar course will be up on the website very shortly. Very shortly. It is done. It is out. But on the website, it will be out on the website soon. Yes. All right. So I also had another topic planned for today. Yeah, so if you sign up, Mar, for the yearly membership on the site, you will get any course that is released within that 1 year period will be available, right? So it will definitely be released, within the next month or two on the website. In the meantime, you could work on the other courses, and then that one will come out and will be accessible to anyone who is a current member. So if you do a 1 year membership, you have access to all the courses on the website for the entire year, and the entire year that you're a member. And then you can continue or not, but you could take all of the courses that are currently there within a year for sure. People heard about, Vissel said, heard about the higher gas prices in the US. How does it affect people? That's an interesting question. Well, I'm no expert on economics, right? But it's bad. I mean, it's bad. It's expensive. Let's search here. Let's do gas prices in the US by month. Let's do gas prices in the US by month. And when I say gas, I mean gas or petrol or whatever you want to say, right? Okay. Does this show? Let's see. Monthly retail prices of gasoline in the United States. Yeah, retail price is what we want. That's what we want. Allow. Statista. Wow, well, I can see it's going up. Let's zoom in a little bit here so we can see better. All right. Monthly retail price of gasoline in the United States from April 2019 to May 2022 by type. Now, I would say that there's a lot of variation from one place to another. For example, in California is the most, as far as I know, California is the most expensive place to buy gasoline in the United States. I live in New York State. It's pretty high, but I think probably closer to the average. But I'll let you know. So let's see. And let's see. Let's look at February of 2021. The February of last year, we were looking at regular conventional retail gasoline price, $2.41. When I hear that, that sounds insanely cheap. Insanely cheap. And then it was $3.30 in January. Let's say 1 year later, February of 2022, this year, regular conventional retail gasoline price, $3.40, which still in my mind sounds crazy cheap. Although, yeah, in February, back then, this year, I remember paying about $3.50, $3.60 for gasoline. So to fill up my gas tank in my car would have been about, I don't know, $55 or something like that. $50, around $50. But then it went crazy. So now the average is at $4.27, but that feels still very low to me. When I drive around here, the low price, which is the regular conventional gas, so there are usually three levels. There's regular, and then there's 87, 89, 90, 91, 87, 89, 91. Those are the three levels, right? So the regular, I think, is the one everyone bases the gas price on. $4.27 seems very low for that. When I drive around here, it's at least $4.90. I don't think I've seen it lower than that for some time. And then the higher grades of gasoline would be obviously much more, $5.20. I've seen as high as $6. So the highest I've seen around here is $6. And the lowest I've seen around here recently is probably about $5.80, something like that. Now, it's apparently a lot higher in California. I've seen pictures of $7, $8 for the lowest price of gasoline, which is crazy. It's obvious how that affects things then. Well, number one, if people are going to have to fill up their gas tanks to go to a place anyway, right? When a trip is optional, they may decide just to not do that and to just take the necessary ones. Because for a lot of people in the United States are in my situation. My situation is I no longer live in the city. So when I lived in the city, I could easily just get on the subway or get an Uber wherever I need to go. No problem. Now I don't live in the city anymore. I live an hour and 20 minutes away from the city. So I must drive a car. When I want to go to the supermarket, I must drive a car. It's about 8 minutes away. If I want to go out to dinner, I have to drive there. I must drive there. I suppose I could order a pizza, but generally speaking, you have to drive. And that's true for many, many Americans. That's kind of the standard lifestyle habit for a lot of people. I grew up that way in a relatively small town in Ohio. Yeah, you have to drive anywhere you want to go. You can't just walk around. If you live in a town, okay, great. But a lot of people don't. And it's normal, right? So that's why when you go to a supermarket, there are a lot of parking spots. So there's always plenty of parking, huge flat parking spots in places, for example, like where I live, right? And so what does that mean? Well, I have to go to the supermarket. I must do that. But, and I'm thinking about how some people might be thinking, right? I don't have to go out to meet friends later for dinner because that's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to use gas. And then I have to pay for dinner. So maybe I just won't do it. So one factor is the psychological factor for people, which is to not do some optional things because it feels more expensive to do them, which has what impact? Well, you can assume it's going to have an economic impact, right? People spending less money, that means less money actively in the economy. I'm no expert on this, but that seems pretty obvious, right? Then there's the hidden cost of everything. Because everything that gets anywhere is usually taken there by truck, then everything is going to become more expensive. One reason it's going to become more expensive is that those trucks need fuel. The fuel that they use is diesel fuel, and diesel fuel is also much more expensive than before too. So those trucks are driving around delivering things to supermarkets and restaurants and clothing stores everywhere. So it's not just people driving places and then deciding maybe not to do something this weekend, not to spend money this weekend because gas is too high, but also everything else being more expensive because everything else needs to get to somewhere and gets there by truck. So the supply chain in general is more expensive too. So, and I think there are probably, many more consequences as well. I don't know why the gas prices go up or down. I don't know anything about really what drives them up or down. I have no idea. I've heard things, but I'm not an expert on it, so there's not much I can say there. I mean, my stupid brain says, just make it cheaper. If the government can spend hundreds of billions of dollars on weapons and tanks every year, why can't they just subsidize the price of gasoline and that will make people feel better so they could go wherever they want to go without worrying about it, and the cost of things will be less, right? So it makes sense to me, but I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm not an expert in any of that stuff. But that's what I would do. If I were the president, I would spend less money on bombs and more money on subsidies and make the price of gasoline cheaper. Gonna be another pandemic? Are you talking about the monkey the isn't there some sort of virus in monkeys that's going on? I heard something about that. Mariam says, could you please explain the difference between disposition, opinion, and sentiment? Yeah, they're different. Sentiment is generally how you feel about something. Disposition is, oh, that's a complicated one. Your disposition is your current state toward others, and also how maybe others feel about that. But it's complicated because it's different in different situations. I mean, the meaning is different in different situations. Opinion is much simpler. Your opinion is, what do you think about something else? Your view of that. So disposition is more the circumstance and the way that you in general behave in that circumstance and how that relates to other people. Again, not that simple, but that's closer to it. And then opinion is pretty simple. That's just, I like this thing, or that blue is my favorite color. And then the sentiment is often, it can be used for a single person, but a sentiment is more often used when it's a collective feeling, not just an opinion, because opinions are simple things. They can be stated, right? This is good, this is bad, this tastes great. Whereas a sentiment, you wouldn't say this tastes great and that's my sentiment. Yeah, okay, you could say that, but usually it's a collective feeling about something. The sentiment right now that people have about the gas prices is that the government should be doing more. That's the general feeling people have about what the government should be doing. That's the sentiment. Does that mean everybody feels that way? No, it means that there are probably a variety of different views on it, and some people feel angry, and some people think it's great, and some people are furious, right? But if we were to collect up everybody's view and sort of do a mathematical equation and figure out, on average, what is the feeling, that's usually the sentiment, right? So the sentiment in the way that people feel toward, let's say, the president of the United States right now is Joe Biden. And so how do people generally feel? Well, they use polls for that. So you do a poll, and then you see, okay, his approval rating is 41%. I don't know what his approval rating is. Joe, let me search that. Joe Biden approval rating. Okay, so Joe Biden's approval rating right now is 38%. 57% disapprove. Okay, so that's Joe Biden's approval rating. That's trying to capture, on average, the sentiment of people, of the American people in this case. So that's kind of the way that that those work. Disposition, again, is more complicated. That one would need I think a topic by itself. But the other two, I think, are clear, because one is collective and one is a simple feeling about something. I hope that makes sense. Karina says this is happening in all other countries. In Spain, we're paying 2.2 euros for a liter of gasoline. It sucks. Yeah, when I was in the UK, we took a lot of Ubers, and I talked to a lot of Uber drivers, and one of them said, we were talking about the price of gasoline, and he was talking about the price of petrol per because they do per liter. It's interesting, in the UK they have a mix of things, of different units, because in the UK they still use some imperial system units, and then for other things they use the metric system. In the United States we use only the metric, almost always the metric system, except for scientific stuff, right? So we say miles, and we say feet, and we say pounds, and we say gallons. And in the UK, they do that for some things and not others. So for For petrol, for gasoline, they are on the liter. They don't say gallons. They use liters over there. Anyway, but I think they do say, I think it's still miles. I think they still use miles for distance, if I'm not mistaken. But then liters so liters per mile, I guess. Liters for petrol. So he was saying, I told him the price of gasoline in the United States, and he said, "Oh, that's unbelievably cheap. That's crazy." He said it's way more uh, over here, and he was talking about how expensive it is to be an Uber driver. But he had a Prius, so Prius seems like a better car because it's a hybrid, so you can get a lot more mileage in a Prius. I noticed a lot of Uber drivers drive Priuses, and I think that's probably the reason, better mileage. But apparently, in the UK, there's a plan to have all electric vehicles in, I don't know if it's the UK or just London, I can't remember, but that's the plan by, let's search this. Let's see. All electric vehicles in UK by. Let's see if we can get this. He said, okay. No. Let's see. Let me search this. Electric vehicles in UK plan. 2035. Let's see. Rollout of electric vehicle charging infrastructure in the UK ahead of phase out dates to end the sale of new petrol and diesel vehicles by 2030. Okay, for all new cars and vans to be fully zero emission at the tailpipe by 2035. Okay. So they're going to eventually completely get rid of petrol-powered cars in the UK. But the Uber driver said the problem is that there isn't enough infrastructure for that. Infrastructure means the stuff that supports the thing, the bridges, the roads, the charging stations. He said that there aren't enough charging stations, and the charging is not very good in at least in London. He said because a lot of people don't have their own parking spot, so they can't charge at home. For example, if you have a garage, I have a garage, I could just, if I had an electric car, which I don't, just plug it in and you're good and charge it overnight. But a lot of people don't have that in the city, especially, for example, in London. People don't have their own parking spots, and so they have to find a place to charge, and there aren't enough charging spots. That's what the guy said. So he said, for now, this is just what I was told, the best car to have for an Uber driver is a hybrid, a Prius, for example, which is one of the ugliest, it's got to be one of the ugliest cars ever made, but because it's good for Uber. Honda Prius. No, is it Toyota Prius or Honda Prius? Who makes Priuses? I think it's Honda, right? I mean, that's really ugly. That's got to be one of the ugliest cars ever. It's got to be. It's so ugly. It's one of the ugliest cars I've ever seen. Toyota, what was I thinking? Toyota Prius, not a Honda Prius. Idiot. Yeah. So anyway, better mileage. So again, guys, those who are just joining, welcome. This is more of a sort of welcome back stream. We're going to be doing these regularly. So the plan is every Wednesday and Friday at between 11 and noon is around when we'll start. I think I'm going to lock that down to a specific time very soon, but it will be around the same time that we'll start every Wednesday and Friday. So stick around for that. If you want me to cover certain topics, let me know. Just leave that in the comments or in the chat, topics that you want me to cover or things you want me to talk about. And it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Also, if you haven't already, check out you can check out full courses in the links in the description. If you want to take one individual course, that's fine. Or if you want, you can sign up for the yearly membership on the website, which is my recommendation. I think personally that is probably the best deal. So if you want, you can go to my website here and you can see the courses that are included right now. There will be more courses added. If you're a member, any course that's added will also be available to you. And then that's for the yearly price. You pay for 1 year and you get all of this, including a one-to-one assessment with me. And I can let you know where you need to focus, what you need to work on most. And someone said, can you set up a WhatsApp group? Another thing that is included in this is access to the WhatsApp group. Okay, so there is a group that you can get access to, the Cloud English community. One of the groups you will get added to. Okay, so there are a few different groups. So you can go to the website and check that out, and that is how to join the group. At the moment, that's the only way to join one of the groups, because they are not accessible to everybody to join. All right. Okay. Naba is here. Hello. And Miguel and Aiden. Hello, 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 hello. Yes, Mariam, attitude and opinion are a bit different. So attitude is your view toward life. You have a positive attitude or a negative attitude or a defeated attitude or an attitude that everyone is against you or something. Your attitude is the color of the sunglasses that you wear as you go around in life. That's your attitude. And your opinion is how you think specifically about an issue, about a thing, about the shoes I'm wearing, whether you like them or not. Right? That's your opinion. So opinions are individual, usually, in that way. This is my favorite thing. I don't like this. I like this. Those are cool. That should be different. Those are opinions. Your attitude is the color of sunglasses that you wear, basically. Karina says, why didn't you come to Spain? You were so close. Yeah, maybe next time. Maybe next time. Good idea. I will try to do that next time. I feel that I'm getting old. In my 20s, I was always willing to travel and I wanted to go everywhere all the time and do cool stuff. And now, as an old man, I feel that I just want to stay at home, walk around, listen to books or read books, work, drink coffee, hang out with my wife, maybe play some video games. And that's about it. I just, the drive, the curiosity to see a bunch of places is not as strong as it was. In my 20s, I was traveling all over the place. And especially in Asia, I went all over the place. I was traveling all the time. And now I'm just at a different stage of life. I don't know what happened to me. I've become boring in my old age, alas. Karina says much better weather in Spain than the UK. That's subjective, Karina, I have to say. Let me just say, better is subjective. I like the weather in the UK. Because England is famous for having gloomy, overcast, gray, rainy weather. That's the best part about it. That's my favorite thing. I used to live in Seattle, and my favorite thing about Seattle was the weather. Here, where I live now, it's very sunny all the time. It's very hot and very sunny. And it's fine, I guess. But when it's hot and sunny outside, I feel very slow and I can barely move and I'm sleepy. But if it's cool, not too hot, and it's raining a little bit, and it's overcast and you can't see the sun, that's the best. That's my favorite weather. I'll take that any day of the week. I've not visited Iran. No, sorry, Mara, not yet. Not yet. Is it easy for Americans to visit Iran at the moment? Yeah, sure. There's a recommendation not to, but I could. Interesting. I'm getting there's a website that has the State Department, travel.state.gov will give you for every place that you might want to visit recommendation. Yeah, this is fine, or there's some stuff going on there, maybe not great. But for there, it's telling me, it's recommending that I don't at the moment. Not that that means I shouldn't, but that's just what the State Department says. Not saying I only listen to the State Department, right? Who cares what they think? Another thing that happened in the UK was there was a strike. Strike is when workers refuse to work because they want to be paid more. Let's see if we can find out something about that. I wonder what's going on there. Let's open up YouTube. Okay, UK railroad strike. Let's see what the news says. See what's going on here. It's 5 days ago, 8 days ago, 5 days ago. Let's see here. Which one should we check out? I want to find one that's more recent. Will bring it. Why are all these so old? Is there no updates? What the heck is going on? Airport staff vote strike. Okay, let's just check out one of these and see what they say.
I've been getting paid $1,000 a month, if not more, just from this app on my phone. And
this rail strike is one of the UK's largest for years, and it's being led by one union.
Every worker in this country deserves to negotiate a pay rise and bargain on their conditions. Because if you're not bargaining through a strong trade union, you're begging.
The RMT is bargaining on behalf of thousands of workers. They're employed by the companies that operate the trains and by...
Oh, these are the companies. That's a lot. GWR is one that we wanted to take but couldn't. So we wanted to go to a little town called Bruton, I think is what it's called. and we couldn't go because of the railway strikes, because there was this little village in Bruton, this little hotel in this place that looked really cool, and we couldn't go because of the railroad strikes. I think the place was called the Chapel. I think Bruton, the Chapel is where we wanted to go. At the Chapel. Yeah. This place. So they have, ooh, look at that. Pizza, bread. See, I told you everything is bread. But they also have rooms here. And these rooms are pretty cool. Oh, this is not working. Great. Love that. Is this working? Great. Not working. Love that. Awesome website, guys. But anyway, pretty cool. And we really wanted to stay there because it's an old chapel, and we couldn't because of the railroad strikes. Why didn't they think about me when they went on strike? You know, it's so selfish. They went on strike. They went on strike because they're not getting paid enough. But did they think about my vacation? Didn't they think about what I want to do? I mean, it's so selfish. It's crazy. What about me? What about my plans? Couldn't they wait a week to go on strike? I wanted to take a train, but I couldn't because they want to get paid more. What about me? And then this reminded me of famous railroad strikes back in the when did that happen? Pinkerton strikes? Is it strike? Pinkerton strike breakers. What is this? Let's see if we can. When did this happen? Pinkerton National Detective. Strikes these people. There was another strike that happened due to a railroad. Was it Pinkerton? Let's see. Was it 1920s railroad strike? Is that what it was? Maybe not. I don't remember what 1877. Is that what I'm thinking about? The Great Railroad Strike? Is that what I'm thinking about? Baltimore Heritage, Camden Station, and the Railroad Strike of 1877. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
What do I want? I want
Therapy.
to know myself.
Great.
And
in 1877, millions of Americans were out of work, and many of those still employed were barely scraping by. That July, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad paid the company's stockholders a 10% dividend. At the same time, they cut workers' wages by 10%. Workers were out.
Oh, that's not a good look. You understand that?
That July, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad paid the company's stockholders a 10% dividend.
So the stockholders, the rich people, got a dividend, which from their stock ownership. They got money, but then they're cutting workers. That's not a good look. Don't do that.
At the same time, they cut workers' wages by 10%. Workers were outraged.
So they paid 10% to the stockholders and cut the wages 10%. That's crazy.
Their wages had already been slashed several times.
Wages means pay, by the way.
A strike began in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and spread along the rail lines. When the strike reached...
Ooh, that's a nice transition. That diamond transition, that's a nice one.
Baltimore, the governor called in the 5th and 6th Regiments of the Maryland National Guard to protect the railroad and suppress the strike. Crowds gathered when the alarm bells rang throughout the city, signaling the militia's assembly.
Militia is a sort of small military group, a small group, sort of an independent little army of people.
Workers from other industries who hoped a victory on the railroad would lead to better working conditions.
What are those things in the air? Are those potatoes falling from the sky? I'm assuming yes.
For all workers were joined by the wives and mothers of the strikers. They threw rocks and bricks at the soldiers marching
rocks and bricks, not potatoes. Okay.
Toward Camden Station. In response, the men of the 6th Regiment fired into the assembly, wounding and killing several people. Soldiers of the 5th Regiment...
Why don't they have any video of this? I know it's 1877, but let's get some footage.
...forced their way into Camden Station without firing on the civilians. Nonetheless, the crowd of 15,000 people were outraged by the injuries and deaths inflicted by the militia. They attempted to burn down the station. They succeeded.
Ooh, burning down the station. Yeah. Well, you don't want to cut people's salaries. That's crazy, especially when you're going to give out huge dividends to this stuff.
In damaging one engine and burning several train cars as well as the passenger platform. Federal troops arrived to help the city police and militia.
Federal troops means the government, the military arrived.
To suppress the violence. Some rioters were arrested. 11 people lay dead and several more were wounded. The violence that marred protests up and down the rail lines frightened many Americans. The strike was unsuccessful. Although increasing numbers of workers attempted to unionize in the aftermath of the...
So to unionize is to get together in a union, and then you have group negotiating power, because you can say, oh, you don't want to pay us more? Well, how about what if everybody stopped working? So this was one of the events, I believe, that brought about the need or the power of unions in the United States. So workers in factories, workers in railroads, they formed unions as a result of some of these kinds of crazy things that happened in the 19th and 20th centuries. And I think especially maybe early 20th century, so they started to, they almost pushed workers toward collective action, forming unions as a way to then negotiate, have more negotiating power over their employers in order to get better wages. And you can see some companies famously, even now, are terrified of the concept of their workers unionizing. Starbucks, Tesla, Amazon is a big one. They do not want their workers to unionize, and they'll do almost anything to stop that from happening. Why? Because if they do that, they have strong negotiation position against, for example, Amazon. I think one reason that Amazon raised the wage of their workers to $15 an hour was that they saw a potential threat of workers in the Amazon fulfillment centers where they put all of the stuff in the boxes and ship it out. They saw that was, people were very unhappy about the circumstances working there and the low pay. So they increased the wage to still not particularly high for the United States, $15 an hour. And I don't know if they improved the conditions. You hear stories about people in Amazon fulfillment centers having to pee in water bottles because they don't have time to go to the bathroom, or having extreme requirements about how far they need to walk every day. You hear stories. I don't know exactly what's true and what's not true, but yeah, interesting. So I guess the strikes in the UK are in response to the cost of everything, like petrol going up and everything feeling so expensive. But the cost of everything, it's more and more expensive for people to live in general. Life feels more expensive, but the pay is not increasing at the same rate. So if you are paying 10% more for everything, but you're not making 10% more, well, obviously that's going to make you sad, not happy, right? Right? Global Citizen says, welcome back. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. One other thing I wanted to do today is I have some I think cool stuff planned. I got asked recently about some game shows in the United States and wanted to talk a bit about that. So game show is an important cultural thing. A game show is something that, well, at least it used to be, something that was a campfire culturally, where people collect around those in the evening and maybe just have it on the TV. I think it was especially true in earlier when I was growing up than it is now, because now people are watching everything. And when I was growing up, a lot of people would automatically just turn on Jeopardy and the Wheel of Fortune. And that was a standard thing, sort of cultural centerpiece. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the influential game shows, just so that you know them, so that you're aware of them. And if you want to search videos, more videos of them, that's probably a good idea if you're interested. But there are 4 that I would consider to be sort of the classics in terms of game shows. And a lot of them have been around for a very, very long time. For example, Family Feud has been around since, I believe, the 1960s. Jeopardy has been around since, I think, also the 60s or early 70s. Wheel of Fortune has been around forever, and also The Price is Right, which is another one. So I wanted to show you 4 videos of these game shows, so that you're familiar with them. And I think they're quite interesting, because you can find a lot of interesting clips from these online. But let's start with Family Feud. I think the first host of Family Feud was one of the guys on the TV show called Hogan's Heroes. I think he was the first host, and that was back in pretty sure that was back in the 1960s. Now the host is Steve Harvey. So famously, from a lot of clips and TikToks and Instagram videos, you see little pieces of this show, because he's a funny guy. I think he is or was a comedian. I think he started as a comedian and now is just a game show host and hosts some other shows too. But let's check out this one first. And I found the dumbest answers one because why not? Why not? All right, here we go. So this one is, you'll get the rules, I think. If you don't know them, you'll get the rules as we go along. Okay, here we go.
Give me a boy's name that starts with the letter H.
Give me a boy's name that starts with the letter H.
Jose.
Anybody know what's wrong with that?
Jose with an H.
So, okay, you see on the board there, you see names, right? I think the third one is Howard, and you see a number beside them. The way this works, and Karina says, ha ha ha, spelled with J's. The way this works is you have to guess what people who did a survey earlier said on average. So if the top 4 answers, they do a survey to say people's names that start with an H, boys' names that start with an H, and then you have to guess what you think the top 4 answers are, and you go in your team. And if you miss one, then it goes to the other team, and then you go back and forth, and you get points. So naturally, a lot of funny, ridiculous answers are going to come out of this. I think the funny point here being that Jose starts with a J, not an H.
Name something that follows the word pork.
You pine.
Huh?
Porcupine is an animal.
Huh? You pine. Porcupine.
You pine.
That's right, Ted. Yes, lunatic.
Pork. He said cupine. Cupine.
Steve Harvey's reactions are probably the best.
What is cupine?
He's so expressive and funny. He makes the show great.
This is the greatest answer I've ever heard.
He has the what?
I feel you. It's number 1.
Oh, my mama.
Pow.
All right, so that's Family Feud. I believe it's usually families. Did I say Family Feud? Yeah. And then we've got, let's check out Jeopardy. Jeopardy then is considered to be
What's the password for the cable bill?
Forget all your passwords. Bill pay on.
Skip, please. No.
Band math 400.
So, the host of this show recently passed away. His name is Alex Trebek. Now they have a new host. I'm not sure who the new host is. I'm showing Alex Trebek because he was the one who was there for probably 30, 40, I don't know how many years. Many, many, many years. This show is usually, Family Feud is supposed to be funny. This show is not supposed to be funny. It's very dry, and it's all about facts. And it's the smart people show, even though it's just facts, so who cares? But it's got the vibe of Jeopardy is the serious show that more intellectual people watch. I think Family Feud is funnier, so that's better. But so the rules are, you have this board with these categories, and each one that you pick is supposed to represent the difficulty. So if you say, find your P's and Q's for 2000, then what they give you is the answer to the question. They give you the answer to the question, then you have to say the question. So when you say the question, you say, what is, and then you state the question to that. So it's kind of just reversed, and then you build up money.
Allie Campbell's UB minus Adam Clayton's U. Luke.
What is 38?
That's it, 40 minus 2.
Band math 800.
Trent Reznor's Inch Nails plus Josh Dunn's Pilots. Josh.
What is 30?
30, 9 and 21.
So just
Band math 1200.
Answer. Daily Double.
Ooh, Daily Double is worth double.
And you had a $3,000 lead at the moment.
3,000.
Okay, here is the clue in band math.
So you bet how much you want to win based on what you have. And if you get it right, you win that.
Frankie
double.
Valli's Seasons times Linda Perry's Non-Blondes.
What is 16?
16, 4 times 4.
Okay, great. Jeopardy, boring. Very famous, but boring. Okay, and then we've got Wheel of Fortune. This one is more, I guess, languagey, so more relevant.
Why?
To maybe this channel.
One
so you have these blank spaces, and then people spin the wheel, and then they can guess letters or buy vowels that then will build this puzzle, and they have to try to guess the word, and the first person to guess the word when it's their turn wins. I think that's how it works. It's pretty classic.
I'll buy a vowel.
Okay.
An O.
2 O's.
Another feather in your
I'll
hat.
solve.
Okay.
Another feather in your hat.
Nope.
Christopher.
Not half. Cap.
650.
G.
No G.
What?
Thomas. Uh-oh, the bankrupt got you. Lori, you have another shot at it.
Hit
You
that
can
one
spin
on
the wheel and try to solve the puzzle.
Another ridiculous thing I think is the thing that always confused me is when the wheel is spinning, people clap. I don't know why. It's just a tradition of the show, but it just always struck me as very odd that everyone should clap when the wheel is spinning. It seems like an insane thing to do, but I guess it's just a way to pass the time.
Okay.
Another feather in your lap.
Cap. Nope.
No.
Cap.
Although the feather is moving around.
Cap.
Christopher. 900.
D.
No. Thomas.
The host is very frustrated. No. No, absolutely not. It's another feather in your cap. Come on. Maybe a good game show to watch to test your language skills. Maybe not your language skills, but your pattern seeking skills, your ability to fill in the blanks. That's a good way to maybe build up the old English brain a bit. You can also probably do the daily Wordle, which is free. If you just Google Wordle, then you can. I'm actually not that great at it, but Wordle, and then you can do this daily puzzle from the New York Times and test your language skills. You put in a word, or you have to guess words each time, but it'll give you a hint and it'll tell you which ones are right and which ones are in the right place. So if we put in, for example, what would be a good one to do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I haven't done Wordle in a long time. I guess a good first word would be B-O. Can I do a plural? Boils? How do I enter? Enter. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there it tells me that none of these letters are in the word. That could be a good sign, or not, because it doesn't tell me anything. But if any of these were yellow, it would say that they're in the word but in the wrong place. If any of these were green, then it would tell me that it's in the right place and it's the right letter. So then from there you can narrow it down a bit. Okay, so the last one then is The Price is Right. This one was hosted by Bob Barker for about 300 years, and then now it's hosted by Drew Carey.
I'm Melanie. I'm a fun, caring, and
George, what?
Basically, it's a bunch of different games to win prizes based around the idea of guessing the prices of retail items like soap and towels and things. Cheetos.
What prize do you have for him?
Well, David, you can pack up your gear and head to the beach in your brand new car. It's the Nissan Altima S, featuring a 2.5-liter engine, continuously variable transmission, front-wheel drive, and splash guards. It's the Nissan Altima, a prize worth $25,730.
We're playing a game called Let 'Em Roll. All right. What you're going to do is you're going to take these blocks. We're going to put them in these. Put them in this bucket. You're going to climb the stairs, dump the bucket, let the blocks roll down the ramp, and if it comes with 5 cars, congratulations, you win yourself a $25,000 car, just like that. Woo!
All right, let's see.
Rachel Good Luck Reynolds, we call her. Well, you still have $2,000. One more roll. You want to roll those two?
We're going again.
Gonna go again. Yeah.
Go again.
Yeah. Don't stop on $2,000 against a $25,000 car. That would be not mathematically sound. Here we go. 2 car symbols. 2 cars. You got it. Congratulations.
Great car.
Go get your car, buddy.
I'm very excited. Okay, so there you go. That one is another classic game show. Of those, I would say probably the best one for entertainment reasons. Maybe Family Feud. I would say it's got to be. Yeah, pretty lucky. Although I've heard that there are problems when you win things like cars. There tax problems that arise. So if you win a car, I think that car you have to then pay tax on the car, the prize of the car. So I don't know how much that would be, but that could be a fairly large amount that you have to pay taxes on. It's like if you were to earn that much money, the same as the car, I think you have to then pay that same amount in tax, or the correct amount in tax, which maybe that's worth it. I don't know, but it seems like an inconvenience. There was a big thing about the big car giveaway that Oprah did a long time ago. Oprah did a big car giveaway, and something went wrong with that. I can't remember, but I think it had something to do with people having to pay a lot when they got the car. Oprah car giveaway. So this is when she did it. I gotta get no ads. YouTube. All right, we get it. Uber Eats. Nice. All right, here we go.
Back in 2004, my team and I had a blast making the joy rise for viewers in our wildest dreams come true season. We kicked it all off with a car giveaway that made television history. The build-up to that surprise that day was almost more than I could handle.
I love this moment so much. This is the moment I love.
Someone in this audience still has the chance to go home with a brand new, fully loaded Pontiac G6.
I love it, because nobody suspects. Okay, it's coming, it's coming.
Everybody in the audience, now listen to me carefully, is being given a special package, and I don't want you to open it. Do not open it. Cameras are on you, so do not open until I tell you.
Joy rising. Joy is about to rise right now.
Does everybody have a box? Yes! All right. Inside one of these boxes is a key. Do not open it yet. Okay, everybody listen up. Here is the deal. If your box has a key, you will be the last person.
The famous one is where she's just screaming, "You get a car! You get a car!" But I don't know if I've seen it with the build-up. This is actually pretty
today
good.
To get one of those cute little G6s. Okay? Who will it be? Are you ready? Hold on. Are you ready? JR is back in our audio booth. I want, JR, this calls for a drum roll. Cue the drum roll. All right, open your boxes. Open your boxes. 1, 2, 3. You get a car! 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 Everybody gets a car!
Everybody gets a car.
Rising! One of my all-time favorites.
That's a pretty crazy giveaway. That's pretty crazy. That was in 2004. All right, I gotta find this out though. Let's see. The dark side of car giveaway. Maybe I'm just a negative person and I have to look for the dark side of everything. The dark side of car giveaways. Let's see. Oprah. No, I mean that's still. Am I crazy? I know I saw something about one of these car giveaways. Oh, okay, maybe I was wrong. You would think that search would bring it up, right? You would think so. I don't know. All right, I'll do some more research on that, and maybe next time I'll share if I find anything. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a negative, and I always assume that everything has a dark side. I want that to be true. I want there to be a dark side. Actually, everything is fine, and the Oprah car giveaway is the best thing that ever happened to humanity. That's possible. Guys, if you're just joining, welcome. It's great to have you. This is our sort of welcome back show. We're going to be doing these every Wednesday and Friday. More casual and laid back for Wednesday, and then Friday more focused and more focused on lessons and learning English, and more exploring stuff on Wednesdays. So stick around. And if you have topics you want me to cover, let me know in the comments or in the chat. And we'll be back. No giveaway courses. I will be doing giveaways, just not today. Good question, Archie. Thank you for saying that. No, it's good. I plan to do giveaways in the future, but not today. No giveaways today. And then the last thing I wanted to go over is I wanted to take a look at a Reddit thread. Are you guys on Reddit? I always talk about Reddit, but I wanted to look at the English as a Second Language Reddit and see if we can help answer any of these questions. So I think some people are very creative in that they use the tools available to them and are very active in participating with the English learning, the English learning potential of the world around them. So if you're very passive and you just sort of take what you get and you learn slowly, all right, great, that's fine. But if you're very active and you're asking questions, there are a lot of resources available to you. I always strongly recommend Reddit as a great resource, both for learning things, exploring, getting into your interests, but also asking questions. So if you ever have questions, yeah, of course you can ask me, but you can also get different opinions on your question in Quora, of course, or Reddit. So let's pop over to the English learning. Oh, that's really zoomed in. The English learning subreddit. Let's jump in here. And you can see here at the top, they have a daily Wordle thread. They've got the daily Wordle. They do that. Let's see what the daily Wordle was. Are you new to Wordle? Here are the rules. You have to guess the word in 6 goes or less. Okay. Do not reveal the word of the day, the Wordle of the day. Do give hints. Discuss the uses of. Okay. No comments yet. No one's using this? What? All right. So I guess don't go there. Don't use that. All right. Let's see if we've got some good questions here. These are just questions that people are asking, and I'm curious if we can find any good ones here. If I'm not sleeping. How to pronounce THS? Okay, that's a boring one. Humid versus steamy. Well, okay. I'm looking based on what I think is interesting. Can you help me understand the pronouns from this paragraph? Yeah, pronouns, kind of grammar-y. See something to its end mean in this sentence. Okay, maybe this one. Let me actually open this one up and read this one. We say it was time some person should see racism to its end. Well, that's not the question, though, is it? The question is, what does see something to its end mean in this sentence? But that's not in this sentence. It was time some person should see racism to its end. Does it mean that someone should make sure that racism is ended, or suggesting some action? Yes. I mean, basically, yes. To see something, often we use see something through to its end. See it through is actually often the phrase. We should see it through. That means that we don't give up halfway, we don't pause, we don't hand it over to others. I need to see this through. I need to see this through. I'm going to persist. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to continue. I'm going to carry on. Let's see it through. Often just to encourage another person to continue doing something when times are difficult, when it feels like it's easy to give up, like we want to give up, right? If we just see it through, I think we're going to see the benefit of this. Now, if you say, like this one says, this sentence, it was time some person should, the sentence is a little awkward, but should see racism to its end. You could say that means that person is responsible for taking action, taking some responsibility to move something toward no longer existing, racism no longer existing. Take an action that's going to contribute to that, right? You could say it this way. But again, the much more common phrase is to see something through to its end rather than just see something to its end. But yeah, that one's not super interesting. Let's see if I can find another one. Book of Mormon? No, that's not even a question. That's an ad. Is that correct? And does it make sense? Is it appropriate to say I'm in a hilarious mood instead of I'm in a good mood? Well, not really. Where is subject? Okay, another ad. I'm just looking for one that catches my eye. Question regarding tipping. Always have doubts about these popular pronouns. I look forward to next steps. Come on, interesting one. Correct my essay. Okay, that person just asking for someone to do work for them. This is kind of interesting. Do long vowels rhyme with short ones? Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, they have different qualities, and I don't understand if they rhyme. Does pull rhyme with pool? Does hut rhyme with heart? Well, there are a couple of problems with the question here at first. Let's see if people answered this one. I do not understand your pool example, but in my dialect, Canadian English, hut and heart do not rhyme at all. Okay, that's a pretty good answer. Hut rhymes with what? Heart rhymes with start. Yeah. Pool and pool are the same word, but pool rhymes with school and fool and has a different sound than food and book. Yeah. Type pull, not pool. Yeah. Okay. So there are actually a couple of issues with the question, I think, and the way that it's asked. So first, what is a long and short vowel? So a long vowel would be the name of the vowel that we use when we're pronouncing it. So if it's A, then the sound is like A, like A-Y, and in a word like T-A-M-E, tame, that A is there. But if we take out the E, then it's a different sound, and that's the short vowel, tam, tam. And it's the same with all the vowels. It's not exactly the same for you, for example, Luke, my name, is pronounced Luke, so there's not a y there. But a word like mule will have the y there in the name of the letter being U and the sound being U. So mule and U. But in my name, Luke, there isn't a y there. So you could say, some people would say Luke and mule rhyme, but actually some people would say it doesn't. And in fact, Luke, Luke, maybe rhymes with a word like tune or T-O, and it could be T-O-O-N or T-U-N-E. Tune, Luke. You could say that those sounds are the same. Not that the words rhyme, but those sounds are the same sound. So it's a little more complicated than saying long and short, and the reason is that long and short sounds may sound different in different words. And I just gave you the example of mule and Luke. Ooh, right? So yeah, that makes it more complicated, and that makes a simple answer to this not really possible. Can I say that long vowels rhyme with short vowels, or long vowel words rhyme with short vowel words? No, I can't say that. No, they do not necessarily, but some of them might if the ending of the word also matches. Rhyming isn't just about the vowel, it's about the entire part of that word, the entire syllable. So if, for example, we have the word like stable, right? What word rhymes with stable? How about gable? Well, the first part doesn't rhyme. Yeah, but we're really just talking about the last syllable, that last sound. Able. Okay, what about stumble? Well, does the bull part rhyme? Is that the rhyming part? Usually not. Usually it's the whole last part there, the able part. So we would usually say that stumble and stable don't rhyme, even though they have the ending bull sound, because one is umble and one is able, right? So it's definitely a lot more complicated, and it also gets more complicated when things are very close, but they don't exactly rhyme, but it's close enough. So we say, that's pretty good. Or we might pronounce a word intentionally differently. You'll see this in some older poetry. We might pronounce a word differently intentionally in order to force it to rhyme, when actually it doesn't quite rhyme. So the words given here, for example, H-U-T and H-E-A-R-T, this doesn't rhyme because of the R. If it has an R, the ending there, the end sound, is not rhyming because there's an R. Hut and hurt. Hut and hurt. Well, the there makes it not rhyme. If this were hut and but, though, and you could spell it B-U-T-T or you could spell it B-U-T. It doesn't matter. We're not focused on the spelling. We're focused on the sound, right? Rhyming is all about the sound. It has nothing to do with how it's spelled. It doesn't matter how it's spelled. Then you could say, okay, those rhyme, but this doesn't rhyme because there's an R there. Well, what about something with an R? So what rhymes with heart? Again, don't look at the spelling. Is this H-E-A-R-T even a short sound? Well, I don't know, because E-A-R is the short A sound, right? So I don't even know how to say, are the short and long sounds rhyming, because the way of describing them that way isn't even useful anymore, right? What instead we should say is E-A-R-T in this case makes the art sound. Yeah, that is the short A sound plus R plus T, right? R, t, art. Okay, so what rhymes with that? Heart, fart. Okay, so heart and fart rhyme. So what you have to do, instead of trying to force a rule, is understand which category of thing you're dealing with. Forcing a rule here is trying to say that a kind of a spelling rule or a rule focused on a type of letter or a way that letters are pronounced, short and long vowels, has something to do with rhyming, which it doesn't really. Instead, we should say, what is rhyming? Rhyming is where the end of the word, the ending sound or sounds of the word, often the last syllable, sounds the same as another word or syllable, but is not exactly the same. So then it rhymes. So then we're talking about sounds only. Okay, so it doesn't matter how it's spelled. Okay, so that's where it gets, I think, complicated. And the other one here is P-U-L-L and P-O-O-L. Most people would say that those don't rhyme because one is pull and one is pool. So oo, and ul. So the P-U-L-L is, I guess, the short U sound, but then the oo sound, pool, that's different. I guess that's more like the long O-O sound. And then the short O-O sound would be something like cook and book and look and things like that. So it's more complicated than this, is what I'm trying to say. But that's still, it's an interesting question. I think it could be asked a little differently, but it's still an interesting question. And let's see if we can find maybe one more. I will not perceive and realize. Should I use did or made? I'm sorry if this is a silly question. I have a little doubt. Should I use did or made? I think made. That one could be actually either, but I think made would be better probably. Okay, what's this one? This one looks like it's got quite a lot of votes. I was reading one of the Goosebumps series. That's a series of kids' books. It's sort of young teen fiction, horror-ish type stuff. Lizzie, boys, chill out back there, Dad cried. Dad, nobody says chill out anymore, I told him calmly and quietly. People do, I say it. I did some research on the internet, but didn't find any related information. Is this word really dated, or is the daughter messing with her father? Dated being, okay. When I first read the title, I thought, is chill out dated was about it being a poorly written question, but actually it's a good question. It's a nice question. So dated here means outdated, means it's no longer in use, it's no longer common, right? This person is asking about usage, not about meaning. Chill out is like saying, hey, relax. Stop doing this crazy stuff you're doing. Calm down. Take it easy. And the question is about the usage. And that's a great question to ask, because often you look up a word or a phrase online and you see, okay, yes, I understand that chill out means relax or take it easy, but that's not important. It's not as important as knowing do people actually say this, right? Back in the 1950s and 60s, people used to say jeepers when they were scared. Do people say that anymore? Nobody says jeepers anymore, unless they're trying to be funny or they're doing a Scooby-Doo recreation or something like that. So it's a totally valid question to ask. I would say my feeling is currently in the year 2022, it's not dated. Maybe they said that in the book, and maybe the author, because this is also very subjective, the author thought that that's something that a kid or a teenager would say to their parents then, right? But the fact is, I hear chill out used all the time. Hey guys, chill out. Can you guys chill out over here? I'm going to go grab some barbecue sauce for the wings. You just chill out over here and do whatever you want, play video games. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay, so yeah, it's really common. And I would say it's still very much in modern usage. What I don't know is why the character in the book said that. I think it's probably to express the teenage resentment, or my parents aren't cool. So if someone says a phrase to me, I, as a teenager, might just say, hey, nobody uses that anymore because I'm a rebellious teenager and I think that everything that my parents say are outdated and stupid, right? That's the kind of thing a character like that might say, but that doesn't make it true. It's worth asking. It's worth looking up. The best thing you can do is kind of absorb the culture as much as possible, watch a lot of movies and TV shows, and you can start to get a feeling for which words and phrases are actually used and maybe which ones are not actually used. So it's an interesting question. Always worth, I think, asking. Okay. Well, I think, I think we might call it a day for today. Mega says a lot of hard work. You mean looking up that? Yeah, it is. But it gets easier over time as you sort of dig into the culture and really dive into it. And it becomes less about having to learn it in an academic way and more about just sort of feeling it, right? And it gets easier over time. All right, I see some welcome backs. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone for joining. It's great to have you all here. We're going to call it a day for today. If you have future topics or things you want me to look into or videos you want to watch together, let me know. If you haven't already done so, feel free to check out my courses. I would recommend doing that on the website. You can go to the link in the description and check out the courses that are included. The best deal here is to do the yearly membership, which comes with access to the WhatsApp community group. It's currently the only way to get into that group, and also a one-to-one evaluation with me. And also, yearly access means yearly access. So you get access to all of the courses that are here and any courses that release in that time period. I think it's a really, really good deal. So you can check out the courses here by going to the website and signing up for the yearly plan. The yearly plan is definitely the best deal. So thanks again, everybody, for joining. It's great to be back. Sorry for my slightly scratchy voice and my nosy sound. It's because I'm feeling a lot better today than I was 2 days ago, but I was feeling pretty bad 2 days ago. I feel a lot better now, and I hope to be feeling really good on Friday. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing these on Wednesdays and Fridays. So finally, if you want to regularly attend, you can put that on your calendars. It's going to be starting around the same time. And then on Wednesdays, it's going to be more culture stuff, more videos, more just looking around online and finding interesting stuff, watching stuff together, a Q&A, of course. And then on Fridays, it's going to be more focused, targeted, let's say hardcore learning, if we could call it that. So that's the plan. So thank you guys so much. Thanks everybody who joined. Appreciate all the questions, all the comments. And don't worry, Corinne, I'm not planning to disappear. I wanted to come back when I would really be able to be back, and I've been planning to do this for a long time. So anyway, I'm back. I'm very excited to be back. Look out for more stuff in the future, and hope everybody has a fantastic day. See you guys next time. See you on Friday.